2021 meeting of the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District Board of Directors. Will the clerk please do a roll call?
Director Nelson?
Aye, or here.
Sierra?
Here.
Clark? Julian?
Here.
Osborne? Murillo? Infante?
Here.
Lavanino?
Here.
Patino? Williams? Hart?
Here.
Hartman?
Here.
And Chair Perotti.
Here. Thank you. Will the clerk please read the housekeeping information for participants on Zoom?
Certainly. A couple of Zoom reminders for all participants. For all panelists, this includes all APCD board members, please remember to mute your mic when not speaking. If you would like to comment, use the raise hand button. To do this, click on the participant icon at the bottom of your screen. The panelist sidebar will appear, and at the bottom right of the sidebar, click on the ellipses icon, and from there, the raise hand button is available. If you are an attendee, this includes APCD staff and all members of the public, including those participating via telephone. You will be on listen-only mode. All attendees will remain on listen-only mode unless unmuted by the board clerk to provide public comment. Comments from the public are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The public will not be able to share their video or screen even if unmuted. When public comment is called on for an agenda item, attendees may use the raised hand button at the bottom of their screen to express desire to provide public comment for that item. You will be unmuted when it is your turn And those participating via telephone can raise their hand by dialing *9. Thank you, and that concludes the Zoom reminders.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Doss Williams is on. He typed it in, but I don't think he's listed as an attendee.
Oh, I see him.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you all rise, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk please read the item into the record? The next is our closed session.
Closed session. Item C1, conference with real property negotiator, Government Code Section 54956.8. Property, assessor's parcel number 111-270-050.
Thank you.
Address,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Address 1011 West McCoy Lane, Santa Maria, California, 93455. Agency negotiator, Air Pollution Control Officer Aaron Arlen Janae, and Susan Freeborn, Real Property Agent 2, County of Santa Barbara. Negotiating party, Gina Gluyas, Better Home and Gardens Real Estate, Haven Properties. Under negotiation, price and terms. Closed session item C2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, paragraph 1 of subdivision D, Government Code Section 54956.9. Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District versus California Asphalt Production, Santa Barbara County Superior Court Case Number 20CV03790.
We will now adjourn to closed session.
And just one more note, at this point, all board members participating via Zoom, please log out of the Zoom call and dial into the closed session conference call. Once closed session concludes, please log back into Zoom.
Thank you. Council can report from closed session, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were 2 items for closed session: the conference with real property negotiators for 1011 West McCoy Lane in Santa Maria, and a conference with legal counsel existing litigation for Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District versus California Asphalt Production, and the board took no reportable action.
Thank you. The next item of business is approval of the minutes of the March 18, 2021 meeting. And is there any discussion? I'm not hearing any or seeing any.
Oh, Director Williams looks like he has his hand up, but I'm not sure if that's just to move over as a panelist. Give me 1 second.
No comment. Just wanted to be validated as a panelist.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Williams.
Director Hartman moves approval of the minute.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? Second. And will the clerk please take roll call vote?
Director Nelson?
Aye.
Sierra?
Aye.
Julian?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
Infante?
Aye.
Lavanino?
Aye.
Latino?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Hartman?
Aye.
And Chair Perotti.
Aye. Ayes have it. Okay, the next item is the approval of the administrative items. Does any board member wish to pull any of the items?
Director Hartman would like to pull E1.
E1, okay.
Administrative item E1, notice of violation report. Receive and file the summary of notices of violation issued and penalty revenue received during the months of March and April 2021.
Thank you. I see that Central Coast Agriculture has violations, in fact, over 2,212 days of violations for operating diesel generators, if my math is right. So my first question is, how did APCD discover the violations?
On November of 2020, we were notified by the CUPA. Our compliance staff were notified by the CUPA that the diesel engines were being used at Central Coast Agriculture, and then following that, we had inspectors go out to confirm.
So November, and we're now in May. Were there any earlier notices of violation?
There were not at that location any other inspections that occurred.
Yeah, just last week, I guess, the County Board of Supervisors granted a CUP, a land use permit, to this and praised it as a platinum standard. Is there any system in place for the APCD to notify County P&D, or do they have knowledge of these violations? Was there any connection? Should we have known? It seems to me we should have.
The Air District, as a responsible agency under CEQA, we do review any proposal that's going through, and so we did review the CUP and DVP for this project at this location and provided comments on the incompleteness, as well as highlighted other aspects that are included in our.
I'm sorry, Aaron, when you look at the board, you don't talk into the mic and we can't hear you on Zoom. Sorry.
No, good. I'm glad. Thank you for the input. I will look straight ahead. I appreciate that feedback. Okay. So the Air District is a responsible agency under CEQA, review proposals, CUPs and DVPs. And so we provided comment on this project, Central Coast Agriculture, at the 8701 Santa Rosa Road. Our goal is to ensure that the environmental review is adequate, and that so we can also rely on the document as we move forward with any issuing any permits for equipment such as engine, boilers, or cannabis manufacturing. In our letters, we identified we provide our regulatory advisory, and we also make recommendations so that all the air quality issues can be addressed as early as possible. In these letters, we did identify the use of prime diesel generators as not being allowed under district permits. And that information was provided to the county through the CEQA review process and also to the project proponent.
Thank you. I'll just put it on the record. I find that very concerning, not on the APCD side, but on the county side. What is the APCD process now going forward?
We're in the middle of our mutual settlement program or process. We've identified all the violations. We look at the health and safety code, maximum penalties associated with these violations, and we calculate from there where we feel it's appropriate, for moving forward. And I can't share information about the penalties at this time, but I want to share that these are serious violations with over 65 tons of excess emissions.
Thank you.
Chair Perotti, we have a comment from Director Sierra.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was really sad to see this because Buellton is so rarely on your violation notice. And while this is in the county next to Buellton, air quality in Buellton is directly affected by this. And this is one of the reasons why we have so many concerns with cannabis production right outside our city limits. We have no control over it. And now we're seeing not only are we getting the odors, but now we have diesel excess and really disappointed to see this. So thank you.
And we have a comment from Director Lavanino.
It's a question. So these diesel generators, I'm curious if they are different than any other agricultural. I know they're not allowed for cannabis. Is that why there's a violation? Or is it a different type of generator than any other agricultural operation would be using them?
This is a prime, these are plural, prime diesel generators that are used to generate electricity so they can conduct their operations. It's not like an ag pump. So it is different in that extent that it is used for prime electric generation purposes.
So then how would this play out? So you're in some sort of a negotiation at this point, or I mean, how does, is there a hearing that it goes to, or how do you determine the penalty?
At this point, it's through mutual settlement that works directly with me and my staff with the source. And we go through that process and with the hopes of reaching resolution. Once resolution's reached, then it's where we provide the information that's included in the NOV report as far as the settlements that we were able to secure for those violations.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other board members?
It does not look like we have any additional comments from our board members on Zoom.
And do we have any comments from the public? Oh, whoops.
Madam Chair, I have one just on this. As someone who I think I was the one who came up with the idea of banning diesel generators in cannabis operations. I just want to encourage you to, vigorously enforce these. We want this to be a benefit, not detract from the air quality of our communities.
Okay. And do we have any public speakers?
We received no public comment.
Okay. And then I'm going to look for a motion for the administrative items.
Ladamine will move the balance of the agenda.
Second.
Okay. And we'll do a roll call vote.
Director Nelson,
Aye.
Sierra. Director Sierra, are you there?
Sarah is here and I
Thank you, Director
Thank
Sierra.
you.
Director Julian,
Aye.
Osborne,
Aye.
Infante,
Aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Latino,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
and Chair Prody.
Aye. Okay, at this point, we will have our director's report.
All right, thank you. I have 3 items, and I'll keep it brief today. We have a lot on our agenda. First off, I just want to give a status update on our air monitoring station in Santa Maria. So we're making progress with this station that's located at Lakeview Middle School. The concrete slab has been laid, and a shelter is now in place. This week, staff are working on the internal layout of the space and installing racks, as well as some equipment that's been provided by CARB. Just as a reminder, this is the station that we're taking over from the California Air Resources Board that was once located off of Broadway. So we're able to, they've gifted us some of their equipment that can be used at this facility as well. Power requirements were forwarded to PG&E. We're working with their engineering department, and we anticipate power to be pulled by July. This is one of the most time-consuming aspects, I think, of establishing this new station, is getting power up and running at this exact location. In the meantime, we're using our portable air pointer. It's up and running at the Santa Maria Station, City Fire Station number 4 on College Way. The air quality data that's being gathered by the air pointer is now being uploaded to our website and also on EPA's Air Now site. Our next steps are to get quotes for fencing and for the safety rail on the rooftop where a lot of the equipment is located. My next item relates to the governor's release of the May revision for the 21-22 state budget that was released, as we're all talking about, last Friday. There are many programs that are funded in this May revision that fall within the purview of local air districts. In working with the California Air Pollution Control Officers Association, CAPCOA, the following programs are key aspects that we continue to highlight to the legislature on the importance for additional funding in order to ensure adequate resources are available so we can successfully implement these programs. So the key aspects include AB 617 funding. This is our Community Air Protection Program funding that supports our efforts to develop our best available retrofit control technology, BARCed rules, our community engagement, incentive programs, and also criteria and toxic emission reporting. The next item is agricultural diesel replacement and upgrades. Farmer incentive is another way that it's branded, and this is very important as far as incentives to replace the older tractors that operate throughout our county. Wildfire prevention and smoke response continues to be a top priority for the air districts. This is, for what we do to increase awareness once the smoke is occurring, but also to help and provide resources for us to assist in prescribed burns. There's also reference to residential wood smoke reduction programs. That's the change out program that we've operated for a few years now. And then lastly, I just wanted to highlight that the governor continues to include the reauthorization of the Carl Moyer and AB 923 programs as part of the budget. It's a trailer bill, AB 8, for clean air program funding extension. These programs, as currently structured, the program is set to sunset in 2023. And with these efforts, I think the new reauthorization date goes out to 2035. So that's very promising that that's made it to his efforts as well. And the last item I wanted to bring to your attention is just a very brief effort on the state's effort to reduce impacts from wildfire smoke. Later this afternoon, the California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force is meeting to discuss how the state is investing in prevention and preparedness measures related to prescribed burning, grants, and other programs. Tied to this overall effort, the California Air Resources Board has developed a map-based app for our telephones that are related to prescribed burns. Our staff have been providing feedback on this app, and once it's released or launched, which we think is going to happen any day now, we will be able to share this information as it relates to Santa Barbara County, and we'll promote it using our social platforms as well as bringing it back to the board to showcase that tool here at the board at a future meeting. And that concludes my director's report.
Thank you so much for that. At this time, we have public comment.
Chair
Now's the
Pro,
time for any members of the public wish to speak to items that are not on this agenda.
Chair Perotti, we received no public comment.
Okay. Then we'll go on to the item H1. Will the clerk please read this item into the record?
Discussion item H1, Clean Air Ambassador Program. Receive and file an update on the district's Clean Air Ambassadors Program.
All right. This afternoon, Desmond Ho, Air Quality Specialist in our Planning Division, will provide today's presentation on the Clean Air Ambassador Program. I believe he's also joined via Zoom by Michaela Freeborn, a Clean Air Ambassador who has been working with the district since the inception of the program. Lorena, I'm not sure, do you see that she's attending as well?
Yes, Michaela is on Zoom.
Okay, and just one note before you jump off, that name might be familiar with you. The woman who we worked with on a closed session item, Susan Freeborn, this is her daughter. So it's all in the family for this meeting.
Okay. Great. Well, welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing your report.
Thank you very much, Chair Perotti and board members. My name is Desmond Ho. As project coordinator, I'll be providing you with information about a district outreach and education program called the Clean Air Ambassadors. In this presentation, I'm going to walk you through the background of the program, the planning process, show you a promotional video, and also talk about where the program is headed. So the district currently has a number of education and outreach programs. Prior to the impacts of COVID, staff regularly attended school science and wellness nights, where staff spoke with students, parents, and teachers about the district's work, as well as the importance of good air quality. During the science nights, we would incorporate the use of low-cost sensors, such as the purple air sensors, the sensor data, and also the air quality maps to make it a little bit more interactive for the students. Staff are also regularly invited to high school and university school classes to speak about the district's work, as well as its many programs. In a partnership with the County Education Office, the Care for Our Earth grants provide teachers with grant fundings to do environmentally focused work in their respective schools. The district also has a regular presence at events such as the Earth Day celebration pictured here, and also the Open Streets events. So with a desire to maximize our reach to students, especially at a lower grade level, the district, partnered up or explored different ways to maximize staff time. The San Luis Obispo County Air Pollution Control District has an existing program that's aimed at kindergarten through third grade, and it's been highly successful. So using this program as our foundation, we modified their curriculum in order to align with the then newly released Next Generation Science standards. Aligning it with this new standard makes our program more appealing to teachers because it can serve as part of their lesson plan and also fulfills a standard. Like the SLO County APCD program, our curriculum will have multiple lessons and will also target kindergarten through third grade initially. In the fall of 2018, we began the recruitment process for ambassadors. The district recruited 3 UCSB students and 1 SBCC student and launched the program officially in January of 2019. From January to April, staff worked with the ambassadors on developing and refining 2 lessons. With staff guidance, the ambassadors were given the curriculum from SLO County APCD as a template and made changes to align with the NGSS standard and to make the curriculum unique. So the first lesson features a reading of the Dr. Seuss's The Lorax to demonstrate how air quality or air pollution can impact people and the environment. Props, questions, and fun activities are incorporated throughout the lesson to keep the students engaged. The second lesson will take you on a magic school bus ride with Miss Frizzle to learn about how air filters work and play games to learn about the air that we breathe. In April of 2019, the ambassadors made their first presentations at Hollister Elementary School in Goleta to 3 kindergarten classes and 1 transitional kindergarten class. So there they are there. I should mention that all these pictures were taken prior to COVID, in case anyone was wondering why no masks are worn. So with the help of these teachers that we have presented to, direct outreach to new teachers, and advertisement with the County Education Office's newsletter, We received overwhelming requests from schools, so much so that by the end of the fall of 2019, the program stopped reaching out to new teachers as we were booking schools for approximately 6 months out. To handle the extra demand, we recruited 2 additional ambassadors and created a form for teachers to fill out to help with our scheduling. With the additional recruitment, the ambassador programs were able to reach a total of 821 students across 33 unique classes and provide a total of 66 lessons. In addition, plans were made to create a video to further promote the program. The staff-produced video began production in January of 2020 with interviews of the ambassadors, and the bulk of the filming happened in March of 2020 at Benjamin Foxen Elementary School in Sisquoc. At this point, I'd like to show you that video. Give me a second while I load it.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and I'm a Clean Air Ambassador. We started this program in 2019 to educate Santa Barbara County students about air pollution. We engage kindergarten through 3rd grade students by teaching hands-on, interactive lessons based off of children's storybooks. In one of our lessons, we used Dr. Seuss's The Lorax to emphasize the importance of trees and their ecological role, as well as factors that contribute to air pollution. Students are encouraged to find alternatives in their everyday lives, like walking or biking to school. Students are also given a milkweed seed, which they can plant to help reinforce the lesson's focus. In a lesson based off of the Magic School Bus, we discuss filters and more ways in which students can help keep our air clean. Students will have the opportunity to experiment with air filters, learn about air sensors, and see what air quality is like in our county.
Hi, my name is Stacy Rapp. I'm a 1st grade teacher here at Benjamin Foxen Elementary School. I love the Clean Air Ambassador program. It is such a joy having students from the college in Santa Barbara come out and teach my students about air pollution. What is it, where does it come from, and how it affects people, animals, and our environment as well. Their engaging books really teach the students with kid-friendly terms that they can understand. They bring in engaging activities that really allow my students to find deeper meaning in what air pollution really is all about. What I truly love about this program, on top of everything else, is that these college students teach my 1st graders that it doesn't matter how small you are, you can still make a big difference in our earth today.
Our goal is to empower students with the hopes that they will internalize our lesson plans, take action with the provided solutions, and spread the word to their friends and families.
When I say clean, you say air. Clean air! Clean air! Slap, 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 snap, snap, clean air! Awesome. Good job, guys. Okay, that was so awesome.
At this point, it's my privilege to introduce our ambassador that's been with the program since its inception. You have just seen her in the video. Her name is Michaela Freeborn. Michaela, if you can please introduce yourself and tell the board a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michaela. I'm a 3rd year at UCSB, and I'm doubling in sociology and global studies, and also minoring in Spanish. I'm really excited to be here today, and thanks for watching the video and everything. I was first drawn to this program just because I'm really passionate about working with kids and also about the environment. Of course, so this internship was kind of a perfect mix of those 2 things. And it was also such an amazing opportunity to be able to be kind of one of the founders of the program in our county and to develop the curriculum with my teammates and also with Desmond. And I think my favorite part of the internship has definitely been being able to work with the kids and seeing like our impact on them in classes. Like some classes, it was really night and day difference of like, they thought air pollution was good in the beginning. And then at the end, like they were rock stars with all of it. So yeah, it's been an amazing internship and program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. All right. So with all the things that teachers have had to juggle with the spread of COVID, the district has decided that we don't want to add additional things to the teachers' already stressful workload. Therefore, the program has been on pause since March of 2020. However, staff has put together a restart plan for the ambassadors program, and this program will begin in summer of 2021 with a refresh of the curriculum with the ambassadors and also an assessment to see whether what their availability is like and whether we need to recruit additional ambassadors. In early of August, we're planning to outreach to additional teachers to fulfill our fall schedule, and there may be some adaptations needed to the curriculum to ensure that it covers safety protocols with each school district. In the fall of 2021 and winter of 2022, we're going to ramp up outreach and schedule our classes for the winter and spring. There are several county education office events. If they are happening in person, we'd like to show that promotional video that you just watched at those events as well. And the ambassadors will finalize the third lesson and plan for its introduction in 2022. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Here's my contact information, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
That was a great report, great program. I just have a question, real quick question about outreach to the schools. Do you alternate areas? How do you get this information to the schools? Is that up to you to do the reach out, or?
It's a mix of different approaches. In the beginning, we definitely just found schools. We wanted to be initially closer to the area while we're testing everything out. But then we just picked, each ambassador received a different area, and he or she was going to reach out to those elementary schools. Once we figure out which school, we reach out to one grade and kept it consistent so to avoid overlap. And then with the county education office and their newsletter, a lot of teachers started reaching out to us. So we provided them with a form that they could fill out to request a visit from the ambassadors.
That's great, great. Do we have any questions from the board? I see Director Hartman.
Can't let it go by. I mean, this is one of the highs, any of the presentations we've had before this board. And, you know, it's air, water, food, and shelter. And to start young and to understand how important it is to our health and well-being and what we're doing to try to protect the air and water. And to see how excited those children were and how gifted the ambassadors are. It's really uplifting. Thank you.
Thank you.
It does not look like we have any additional comments from board members on Zoom.
Okay. Do we have anybody from the public that wishes to speak?
We received no public comment.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for that report.
Thank you, everyone.
And this does not need a motion. And we are going now to the next item, which is item H2. And will the clerk please read that into the record?
Discussion item H2, fiscal year 2021-22 proposed budget.
Thank you.
Consider the fiscal year 2021-22 proposed budget as follows. 1, receive the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021-22. 2, hold a public hearing to accept comments and provide direction to staff regarding changes desired by the board. And 3, schedule a budget adoption hearing for June 17th, 2021.
Please, thank you.
I'm not having my back to you intentionally. All right, today is our first hearing on the Air District's proposed budget for fiscal year 21-22. The district issued the draft budget on April 2nd for public review and comment. It was posted on our website. Notification was placed in local newspapers and directly sent to 732 permit holders throughout the region. I apologize, my mic is now on. I think I can continue though. Should I restart? Okay. On April 20th, the district held a public workshop via Zoom to explain the budget, answer questions, and receive input. To date, no public comment has been received. For today's presentation, Tina Aguilar, the Air District's manager of the administrative division, and I will be presenting. We have 10 slides total, and the presentation should take us approximately 20 minutes. Before I go through the nuts and bolts of our proposed budget, I'd like to recap on some significant accomplishments the Air District has achieved in the current fiscal year. As it relates to COVID response, last year as we developed our budget, we were in the midst of so much uncertainty. We quickly migrated to a remote work situation for the majority of our staff, and for those essential functions that required staff to come into the office or out in the field, such as our air monitoring or compliance efforts, we developed and implemented safety procedures and protocols to ensure safe working conditions. I'm proud of the district's ability to change our procedures while successfully carrying out the essential functions of our agency. On the monitoring front, we've implemented many changes over the past year that include taking over the Carpinteria monitoring site, transitioning operations and locations of the Santa Maria station that was originally operated by CARB, and beginning efforts to implement the requirements of AB 1674, the Refinery Fence Line Monitoring and Community Air Monitoring Station. Also this year, the district put a spotlight on diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. We joined the Government Alliance on Race and Equity, GAR, a national network of government working to achieve racial equity and advance opportunities for all. We expanded our staff training to better serve our agency's needs as well as those of the community we serve. This is a start of our efforts that will continue to grow in the near future. On the performance numbers here, you could see on the second to last bullet, our numbers remain strong with our permitting actions, our inspections, and our air pollution complaints. We've also been able to award over $2 million in clean air grants. And lastly, we were able to launch our new logo and our new website to better serve the needs of our community. So now looking at the proposed budget for fiscal year 21-22. Each year early in the calendar, we start the budget process by programming our revenues. After revenues are forecasted, expenses, including salaries and benefits, are programmed to equal revenue, making it a balanced budget. One important aspect that I want to highlight with this slide is our current budget for fiscal year 2021 was significantly modified from prior years to conservatively prepare for the uncertain impacts to our revenue due to COVID. In fiscal year 2021 budget, we made conservative estimates for our revenue sources such as permits and registration fees. We also reduced our services and supplies to live within our means. Throughout the year, we have closely tracked fiscal indicators and provided your board with quarterly updates. I'm glad to report that the district's budget for the current fiscal year is tracking well. We are fortunate to have seen only a 2 to 3% reduction in our revenue that was associated with COVID. With that being said, the proposed budget before you today builds off of the fiscal year 2021 budget and incorporates the conservative assumptions on the revenue side, as well as reduction in services and supplies, such as reduced travel and training into next fiscal year. The total budget for the proposed fiscal year 21-22 is $13,125,220. It's a decrease of $1.3 million or 9.5%. The decrease is primarily a result of reduced pass-through grant funds and fixed assets. Of the $13.1 million total budget, 4.9 is earmarked for pass-through grant funds. These are funds provided by the state that the district administers for local emission reduction projects, such as the Carl Moyer or the low emission school bus or the farmer program. These are voluntary emission reductions. We work with project proponents to change out old dirty diesels with cleaner technologies. Other than the administrative fees that we receive to manage these grant programs, the pass-through funds are outside of the district's purview to utilize for district operations. Pass-through funds represent 37% of the district's budget, total budget. To best illustrate what falls within the district purview to allocate our operations, we removed the pass-through funds for a total of $8.1 million for our operating budget. Staff numbers are budgeted this year for 34 full-time equivalents. This is down 2 positions from the current fiscal year that resulted from recent retirements, also with minor changes that were incorporated into our reorganization efforts that were initiated in fiscal year 2018-19. With the reduction in staff and the focus on efficiency practices, the district is prepared to operate in an era of changing revenue and associated workload. My goal continues to be to build a balanced budget that avoids using strategic revenues for our ongoing cost. On this slide is a list of the key factors that affect the total budget for fiscal year 21-22 of the total budget of $13.1 million. Grant funds, as I mentioned earlier, are 37% of our budget. Of the total grant funds included in this operating budget, approximately half are the funds from new funding sources that are awarded by the state, and the second half is from prior year allotments to projects that have not yet been fully brought to fruition. The district received approximately $267,000 in fees to administer the grant projects and contracts. On the fee revenue side, as part of the district's fee rule, Rule 210, annually the district updates our fee schedule to include the annual adjustment for Consumer Price Index. The CPI for fiscal year 21-22 is 1%. Last year, in response to the COVID pandemic, the district decided to forego the CPI fee increase of 3.3% to provide financial relief to local sources during the time of economic uncertainty. Over the next 2 years, the district would like to capture the foregone CPI with the make-up CPI of 1.65%, a total CPI increase in this budget of 2.65%. There are 2 large one-time expenditures included in this budget. The first is geared to building resiliency within our monitoring network by purchasing backup battery systems for 2 stations that allow our stations to run even if a PSPS event was to occur. The second one-time expenditure is to conduct a fee study for the district fees. This hasn't been performed for over 20 years, and the goal of this study is to verify the district is capturing as close to 100% cost recovery for the programs we run. In addition to working on and implementing all of the agency's core responsibilities, the items identified on this slide highlight some key goals and objectives we have identified with the upcoming fiscal year. Many of these goals are similar to what we have been focusing on this fiscal year, such as our COVID response, expansion of our diversity, equity, and inclusionary practices. Efficiency measures are imperative for our agency to focus on, especially in light of reduced staff. Monitoring and providing air quality information to the public in user-friendly fashion and new requirements of AB 1674 to monitor impacts from a refinery near Santa Maria are also part of our efforts. Reaching the ozone and PM state standard continue to be a top priority for our agency. And lastly, with this upcoming fiscal year, we will include a large electric vehicle infrastructure incentive program to assist the state in meeting its goal of having zero-emission passenger cars for sale by 2035. I'll now pass the presentation over to Tina, who will walk us through the specific revenue and expenditure numbers included in the revised budget, with a focus primarily on our operating budget.
Good afternoon. As Aaron has already mentioned, the district's total budget is proposed to decrease from the prior year. I'd like to focus on our operating budget first, as this falls under the district's scope to review and make adjustments as needed every year. The district's operating revenue will decrease by $1.7 million, or right around 17%. The main factor for the large operating revenue decrease is from less money being needed for specific fixed assets. The use of fund balance for fiscal year 21-22 is slated to decrease by $1.6 million. The use of one-time fund balance monies to purchase a building in North County, as well as an allocation of $300,000 to relocate The monitoring station in Santa Maria that the district took over from CARB is no longer needed. The district also heard from the Santa Barbara County Employees Retirement System, SB-SERS, in January of 2021, that the district's OPEB, or Other Post-Employment Benefit Plan, was fully funded, and therefore the pre-funding of approximately $200,000 per year the district had done consistently over the last decade is no longer necessary. The district's revenue streams are anticipated to stay relatively the same for fiscal year 21-22. Operating revenue decreased by $26,000, which is less than 1%. The district's revenue has remained rather stable even through the last 12 months during the pandemic. There are, of course, ebbs and flows of different revenue streams over this time period. However, all of these small changes netted out to less than a 1% difference. That's pretty remarkable considering all the different factors that have affected the local economy of late. We have approximately $500,000 of fund balance earmarked for use for fiscal year 21-22, and that's for specific fixed asset purchases on the operating side of things, which I'll discuss on the next slide. It should be noted, there's also $2.6 million included in fund balance uses due to the grant allocation process. It is common for residual funds to be carried into the next year's budget if some of the clean air projects aren't completed and paid out in the current fiscal year. The district has a healthy fund balance projected to be approximately $5 million or 61.5% of our operating budget. And of that, $1.5 million is set aside by your board as strategic reserve to be used during a fiscal emergency. As Aaron said, the grant revenue next year makes up approximately 37.6% or $4.9 million of the district's total revenue, all of which is earmarked for grant programs as pass-through funds. I want to point out that the way the district refers to pass-through may not be what folks are used to hearing in the traditional sense, in that we receive the funds and then allocate the money to grantees while keeping a small percentage for admin costs to run these programs. The overall grant revenue, when compared to the prior year, is decreasing by about $500,000. This is due to the state allocating less towards the AB 617 Community Air Protection Program. Because of this decrease in pass-through funds, the district is projecting a 19% decrease in the admin funds to run these programs, which equates to approximately $63,000. The district's largest operating expenditure is our staff. Salaries and benefits makes up 75% of the total operating budget. Salaries and benefits actually decreased approximately 1% from the prior year, mainly due to unfunding of two positions. One air quality engineer that has been vacant since March of 2020, and the other an air quality specialist in the monitoring section, vacant since November 2020. Both vacancies are due to retirements. Of this $6 million expense, approximately $1.76 million or 28.6% can be attributed to retirement contributions. Pension costs will continue to be a large concern, and we are committed to analyzing these costs and will make adjustments as needed with each budget cycle. When comparing these costs to the prior year, the overall retirement contribution increase is $169,000 or 10%. This increase can be attributed to employer contribution rates increasing, which are imposed by SB-SERS through the actuarial process. A cost of living adjustment is also included in the proposed budget based on negotiations that took place in fiscal year 19-20. The increase of the COLA is reflected in the salary range table and incorporated into the proposed budget numbers. Services and supplies remain relatively consistent from the prior year as well, with a small increase of approximately $50,000. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the district continued to keep the reduced operating S&S from the prior year budget, with the exception of a one-time project to hire a consulting firm to complete a fee study. A fee study is being proposed for next fiscal year to compare the district's current fee structure to that of other air districts within the state. The fee study will also include a component to verify that the district's programs are receiving a 100% cost recovery where warranted. As previously discussed, fixed assets decreased from the prior year. A few things to mention in this category are the purchase of 2 new plug-in hybrid vehicles to replace aging vehicles in the district's fleet, as well as a new piece of equipment for our compliance staff, a gas detection camera known as a FLIR. All other categories remain right in line from prior years. Not shown in this chart is grant expenditures. The incentive piece of all the pass-through grants for next year match the grant revenue that the district is slated to receive. The total amount earmarked to be paid out is $4.9 million. So here are the district's expenditures by activity. This chart includes both operating and pass-through expenditures. The biggest piece of the pie is our grants program at 51%. Included in this category is Carl Moyer, Farmer, AB 617 Community Air Protection, and the Clean Air Fund. Air monitoring, permitting and toxics, and compliance and enforcement are on average around 30% of the district's total expenditures every year. The operations piece of this chart represents equipment maintenance costs, training, travel, and other costs associated with running these programs. Not pictured here is administrative overhead costs. Overhead costs to support the district's activities include, but is not limited to, utilities, rent, IT support, building maintenance costs, legal counsel fees, HR support, public information and outreach, and the county's cost allocation fee for contracted services. With that, I'll pass the baton back over to Erin so she can explain how the district plans to move forward into next fiscal year with the ongoing pandemic.
Earlier during this meeting today, your board approved the district to move forward with pursuing negotiation of a building purchase in North County. If finalized, we anticipate that this purchase will need improvements prior to staff moving into the building. The district will be making minor modifications to the budget before our June board meeting to include funds to pay for these anticipated improvements. With some of the unused purchase budget that was included in this fiscal year. Any minor changes that are made to the June version of the budget document will be clearly identified in the board letter summarizing those modifications. On this chart, as far as moving forward into 2021, I think cautiously is going to be our continued phrase for a while. We have the ramifications of COVID coming back into the workplace, being able to fully implement all of our programs where we can get in closer proximity with the sources that we work with. These challenges will result in fluctuations, what we've seen recently with the financial market, and it will determine performance of our retirement investments and thus impacts to our pension liability. We continue to also face changes to the state and the federal grants funding level, and working through CAPCOA, we'll be lobbying to secure as much of the funding that's available as possible for our local programs. The district's committed to being fiscally responsible and to closely monitor these funding sources, the retirement plan, and actual financial results on a continuous basis, and we're prepared to make timely resource allocation adjustments as warranted. I am confident in our agency's approach to be fiscally conservative to ensure adequate resources are available to sustain the district's operations well into the future. That concludes our presentation, and we're now available for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have questions or comments from the board?
I have one. Just is the area that employees usually drive with those vehicles just short range? Is that why you got a plug-in hybrid, or why not going all electric like the county?
These new vehicles are actually for our compliance staff, our inspectors. So depending on which sources they're inspecting, they could be out in the oil fields, they could be in areas where there aren't current charging stations. We hope to start incorporating more fully electric vehicles, but for this use, we think that a hybrid model is a better approach.
Thank you.
Director Sierra has a comment.
I just wanted to thank staff. This is really well prepared, well thought out, and you've taken a lot of consideration into the ups and downs of the APCD in the state of California, and I truly appreciate the effort that went into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sierra.
It does not appear like we have any additional comments from board members on Zoom.
I have a question on, in this report somewhere, I know I read that there were 2 retired positions, two staff members retired. Are those positions, are you planning on rehiring for those positions? And we've taken that revenue, that source of funding into consideration, expense?
Yeah, they're unfunded in this budget. The positions are not removed. Our hope is that ultimately we could refill those positions when we have assurance that we have the revenue stream in order to sustain that. We're a little hesitant as it relates to COVID and how the sources were going to be impacted. We were very appreciative that we saw a very small reduction this year going forward. We also know on the horizon there's changes to some of the sources that we regulate, some long-term changes that we need to be best prepared for. So we didn't want to fill those right now with the uncertainty that's looming. We want to have better understanding of all of our revenue sources, and that's why I think the fee study is so important for us to figure out where we are, how we compare, what we're not currently charging or working on even that other districts might be, and then provide recommendations for your board moving forward.
And then another question on our reserve. Do we have a policy that has a percentage of what we need to keep in our reserve? And then if we are to use it, there's requirements, and then replacing it. Do we have policies for all that?
Sure, Chair Prodi, we do not have a written policy. It is practice for us to have at least 15 to 20% of our operating budget in our fund balance. This board has committed some different categories within fund balance. So the one that you hear us reference, strategic reserve, was set up by this board, and that's $1.5 million that is only supposed to be used during a fiscal emergency, in which case the board would need to allow us to access those funds.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public that wish to speak?
We received no public comment.
Okay, then I'm looking for a motion.
Move staff recommendation.
Second?
Second, Patino.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sierra?
Aye.
Julian?
Aye.
Osborne?
Aye.
Infante?
Aye.
Lavanino?
Aye.
Patino?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Hart?
Aye.
Hartman?
Aye.
And Chair Perotti?
Aye. Thank you for that report. Okay, moving on to H3. Will the clerk please read the item into the record?
Certainly. Discussion item H3, update on vessel speed reduction incentive program. Receive and file an update on the 2020 vessel speed reduction incentive program and future activities related to large ocean-going vessels.
Molly Pearson, manager of the Planning Division, will provide staff's presentation today on the results of the 2020 Vessel Speed Reduction Program. She is also joined via Zoom by Sean Hastings with NOAA. Sean joined Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary in 1997 and serves as the site's Resource Protection Coordinator. He is an essential partner in the Blue Whales, Blue Skies program with his expertise and practices protect marine mammals. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Perotti and board members. I'll be providing a review of the 2020 Blue Whales, Blue Skies Voluntary Vessel Speed Reduction Program.
Molly, is your mic on? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Perotti and board members. I'll be providing a review of the 2020 Blue Whales, Blue Skies Voluntary Vessel Speed Reduction Program today. I have 10 slides and it should take about 10 minutes. Here's a little background for this completely voluntary program. We know that air pollution moves around and that emissions offshore create air quality impacts onshore with over 100 miles of coastland and thousands of vessel transits in the Santa Barbara Channel region each year. This results in a lot of emissions. The district's most recent ozone plan update in 2019 includes emission estimates from this sector and also expresses a commitment to continue pursuing vessel speed reduction, or VSR, to reduce ozone precursor emissions. Right now, Santa Barbara County is considered non-attainment for the state ozone standard. The pie chart on the right shows the marine shipping sector and that it represents over half the ozone precursor pollutants in our inventory. In order to attain and maintain air quality standards for ozone, we're working to achieve near-term reductions in emissions of nitrogen oxides, or NOx, through the VSR program. Although there are future regulations requiring cleaner engines, the existing fleet has dirtier engines that may not be replaced for 10 or 20 years down the line. So in the meantime, air districts throughout the state need to plan for attainment of the air standards. Vessel speed reduction is a way to realize immediate benefits to air quality simply by traveling at slower speeds that allow the vessels to operate much more efficiently and pollute less. This slide shows the partnership. It's a large group. Everyone has different focuses and areas of expertise, but we work together to improve public health and the environment. The logo in the center is one that was developed for this unified effort, and partners include Ventura, Santa Barbara, and the Bay Area air districts, as you see on the top. We have NOAA National Marine Sanctuaries, including the Channel Islands, Cordell Bank, and Greater Farallones sanctuaries that participate, and also other foundations and nonprofits that you see here. So it's a partnership for cleaner air, safer whales, and a quieter ocean. In 2014, we started with a small-scale trial program. Each year the program has grown. I'll be showing you a table soon that demonstrates this really well. We offer incentives in two forms, monetary funds and recognition. And our experience so far is that both forms are important. The focus is on container and car carriers because they are historically the fastest vessels traveling through the VSR zones. And it's a seasonal program that coincides with the times of year when we see high ozone levels and when the whales are present in the area. Although the program is primarily focused on the NOx reductions, as I mentioned, there are other air quality benefits, including reducing particulate matter, greenhouse gases, and air toxics. So the picture on the right shows some of the partners meeting with a shipping company aboard a car carrier vessel at the Port of Hueneme. Pretty cool. Here's our accomplishments, the table I was talking about. It's a summary of the VSR programs we've done from 2014 to present. In 2014, the program was just in the Santa Barbara Channel region, and companies signed up on a per-transit basis. In 2017, the Bay Area region also joined in, and in 2018, we shifted to a fleet-based approach. This allowed us to expand and capture more vessels and total miles than ever before. In 2020, we significantly expanded the size of the VSR zone in the Southern California region, and based on our preliminary numbers, we've had even more benefits. Initial numbers indicate we achieved 33% more NOx emission reductions. The number of nautical miles also doubled to more than 180,000 nautical miles. That's the equivalent of traversing the circumference of the Earth more than 7 times. Here's a picture of the VSR zones for the 2020 program. So like I said, it's the most expanded program we've done in the Southern California region. The green areas represent where the ships are asked to slow down to 10 knots or less. So on the left is the Southern California region, and ships in this region are accessing the Southern California ports of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Port Hueneme. On the right, there's three different VSR zones you can see there, and those ships are accessing the ports of Benicia and Oakland through the San Francisco Bay. So our plan for 2021 program is to use the same zones in this map. And I'd also like to note that we ask the shipping companies not to slow up between the two zones, between the San Francisco Bay Area and the Southern California area. This is so that we can avoid any air quality disbenefits that might occur if they try to make up their time because they slowed down in our zones. So here's the criteria for the 2020 program. Basically, slow down to 10 knots or less, and we gave financial awards. We had a total of over $200,000 available. The awards we gave out were between $2,000 to $30,000, and that depended on their award tier and their fleet size. So this year there were 3 recognition levels based on the percent of distance traveled at less than 10 knots. Sapphire means 75% or more of those miles traveled were at the slow speed. Gold is 50 to 74%, and the Blue Sky Award was for the 25 to 49% range. And I'd like to show you the results. So 16 companies participated. Some had larger fleets, some had smaller fleets, but we had a combined total of 483 vessels participating this year. In all, they represent a very large portion of the container ships and car carriers that operate in the VSR zones. 5 shippers achieved the highest Sapphire tier. Even though we raised the bar a bit and we eliminated the Silver category in 2020, almost all the companies were able to travel more than 50% of their miles in the VSR zones at 10 knots or less. Companies in the Sapphire and Gold tiers have already received their monetary awards. They will also receive physical awards, and the recognition efforts that are underway include a news release, a fact sheet, advertisements and articles in trade and business publications. And unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and travel limitations, we won't be able to do an in-person award ceremony this year, hopefully next year. For the last couple years, we've also asked the companies whether they'd like to decline their payment, their financial award, and reinvest it in the program. 7 companies in 2020 opted for this. That allowed us, pardon me, in awards money back into the 2021 program. It wasn't just me, so I was thinking. All right, moving on to whale benefits. These are the logos we like to feature. Take a look at those. And now I'm going to talk about the whale benefits. So these pictures up here show the from left to right, the endangered blue, humpback, and fin whales that live and feed within these VSR zones. So NOAA's goal is to reduce fatal ship strikes on endangered whales. They do this by separating ships from where whales congregate, and also by slowing ships down in areas where they overlap. They also work to reduce the ocean noise that can interfere with whale communication. This year, the partners were able to work with research organizations to quantify the benefits of the program on the whale protection side. Point Blue, a conservation science institute, estimated that the 2020 program resulted in a 35% reduction in the risk of a whale being fatally struck by a ship. And regarding ocean noise, the Scripps Whale Acoustics Laboratory estimates that the 2020 program reduced the amount of noise coming from these vessels by 4 decibels. The 2021 program launched on May 15th, just last week, and so far, 17 shipping companies are officially enrolled, already an increase from last year. There are 2 new shipping companies that have signed on this year, and more are welcome to enroll on an ongoing basis. Approximately $300,000 of incentive funds are identified for the 2021 program. And the picture in the center shows a form that we include every year with the enrollment materials. It asks vessel operators to report any whales that they might see on their route. Some great news is that our program was chosen to receive funds through a California Air Resources Board Supplemental Environmental Project, or SEP, in the amount of $995,000 and some change to help fund the program for 2 consecutive years. The SEP will be managed by the Ventura County Air District, and our air district will receive compensation through the SEP for our staff time related to program implementation. On the interagency side, in addition to implementing the VSR program, we've participated in local discussions in local, state, and federal level related to marine shipping emissions. We've had several meetings with the South Coast Air Quality Management District staff, and we did a joint presentation with Ventura Air District and NOAA staff at their Mobile Source Working Group for ocean-going vessels on April 1st of this year. The California Air Resources Board has indicated they will be updating their emissions estimation model for ocean-going vessels, which will be a big help when we embark on updating our ozone plan. Updating the ocean-going vessel emissions will also help to produce more realistic results for air dispersion models. CARB recently released another draft of their 2020 mobile source strategy, and that strategy actually includes a couple of measures, short-term and long-term measures, to reduce emissions in this category. All right, that's it for my update. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions. And as Erin mentioned earlier, Sean Hastings from NOAA, who knows a lot more about the whale site, is also available, I believe, on Zoom. I've included some contact information for myself and for our air quality engineer, Tim Mitro. He works on the technical side of this program. Thank you.
Very impressive, very, very
Isn't it?
impressive.
Thank you.
Report. Do we have any discussion from the board?
I don't see any raised hands on Zoom from board members.
Perhaps we can ask Sean Hastings if he'd like to have any additional comments to present to the board, since he's been participating in the presentation or in the meeting here with us.
Well, excuse me, I'm impressed on how, I'm impressed at how it started out small and how it's grown. And also impressed with those that have not taken their incentives and turned it back in.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about the legislation, whether, I can see where that might be a tough one, but you're getting it by this program, you're getting compliance. So it's great. I mean, it's really, and I've been impressed with the progress that it's made.
It's exciting to see how it's expanded. Also with the recognition with South Coast AQMD wanting more information, they're stressed with trying to reach attainment of the federal and the state standards, and they see the benefits that they're receiving from what we're doing in our area in the Santa Barbara Channel. So that's nice, as well as CARB staff. So that's exciting.
It is very exciting. I always love hearing this report.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do we have any public that would like to speak?
We received no public comment.
Okay. Well, I think with that, the announcement is that this meeting will rebroadcast on Sunday, May 23rd at 2021 at 5 p.m. on County of Santa Barbara TV Channel 20. And with that, this meeting is adjourned till June 17, 2021. Thank you, everyone.